Carpe diem, a Jegulus Podfic written by Els31 on AO3 and read by Heo Stories. Chapter 14 Mother's Intuition. Summary. James deals with the realizations, tries to cope, and then makes up with Sirius. Regulus goes back to work, but work is exactly where Euphemia is. Turns out, Regulus can't avoid everyone forever. Warnings, references to past child abuse, loads of swearing. James. James doesn't understand what's happening. One minute, he has his boyfriend tucked tightly into his side, molding against him like he was made to fit there. He was finally introducing Regulus to his friends, something he's been waiting to do for ages, but has been too worried that arranging an event specifically aimed to introduce them all was going to scare Regulus off. New Year's was the perfect occasion. It would be drink, so everyone would feel loose and exaggeratedly friendly, as most people are when they're tipsy or drunk. It would be a coincidence that James's friends would be there, and therefore it would be rude for Regulus to say no. Regulus also had his own friends there and people to go back to if he felt awkward or needed some space from the new attention. It was the perfect way to bring the most important people in James's life together. And James doesn't know how it's all gone so wrong. Regulus looked so scared before he ran off. James tried to catch him, to make him stop and explain what the hell happened, but Regulus slipped away between his fingers like a slippery block of ice and was gone in the crowd before James could stop him again. His voice, once shouting for Regulus, was lost below the blasting music, and he couldn't help but look into the crowd for Regulus's running form, despite the attempts being futile. The place was packed, and Regulus was nowhere to be seen. He turns back to his friends, hoping one of them might be able to explain. Maybe Regulus knew one of them, but what could any of his friends have done to upset the younger boy so badly? His friends are great, none of them. James looks at Sirius. His best friend is staring at the space Regulus was standing in moments ago, like he's seen a ghost. Even without being able to hear, James can see his chest moving quickly, short and fast, as he's panting. His best friend doesn't seem to be reacting to Mooney trying to talk to him. James looks at Sirius then. Really looks at him. At his high cheekbones, at the cupid brow of his top lip. He looks at his dark hair, at his sharp cut of his jaw and slope of his chin. It can't be. James would have spotted it before. The same surname is a coincidence. Most importantly, Sirius doesn't have a brother. He would have said, they've been brothers for years, best friends for even longer. There's no way. What the fuck just happened? Peter asks. James shakes his head. I don't know. Parts, what? It's him. Sirius chokes, his voice drowned out by the noise, but James knows exactly what he said. Face blanched, eyes wide and shining in the strobe lights. Sirius looks directly at him. That's Raz. James feels like he's been punched. His head is spinning, his chest feels tight as if someone has smashed a concrete block into his ribcage. Who the fuck is Raz? James asks. He's starting to feel hysterical. Sirius has got it wrong. He must have. Maybe he's been drugged. Maybe someone slipped something into his drink and he's hallucinating. But then why did Regulus run away? He's my brother, Sirius says. And that's exactly what James didn't want to hear. You have a brother? Pete asks. What the fuck? Since fucking when? Pats, what's going on? Mooney asks. Sirius shakes his head, tears spilling over. I have no idea he was even here. I haven't spoken to him since I ran away. You didn't tell us you have a brother, James snaps. He's so angry, so confused. Sirius lied to him this whole time, but Regulus also kept so private that James doesn't know fuck all about his family either. Despite how long they've been talking, Regulus hasn't revealed a single private moment of his past. James feels so stupid. He's so confused, so angry, hurt, but also stupid because he's starting to feel like he's hurt two of the most important people in his life. How the fuck did this happen? He needs to fight Barty, or Evan, or Pandora. He needs to speak to Regulus to find out what's going on, but he's sure if Regulus hasn't already left, he's going to be with his friends. Turning away, James ignores Peter's shout and pushes his way through the pub. He feels claustrophobic. The room feels so small yet so big. Everyone is crammed in. There isn't enough room. He can't even hear his own thoughts with how loud the music is. The lights are making the ground beneath his feet sway and spin. He can feel the brass of the music in his chest. By some miracle, James spots them at the table. There's three of them. He manages to stumble over on shaky legs. Pandora smiles at him when she sees him coming over, but the smile quickly drops. Perhaps he's looking more panicked than he had intended. You can't imagine he looks the happy drunk right now, but he's supposed to be on New Year's Eve in a pub. Barty! James shouts. Where's Regulus? Reg? Barty frowns, a hand clasped around a half-empty glass. He was with you? James shakes his head frantically. No, he ran off. What the fuck do you mean he ran off? Barty cuts him off with a shout, bolting out from off the table. He looks manic, switching from friendly to angry so fast that if James wasn't so consumed by his own panic, he'd be worried that the guy was going to punch him. What did you do? I didn't do anything. I don't think I did anything. I don't know what happened. I just. Suddenly Pandora is standing up too. Outside, now, she says, grabbing James gently but firmly around the arm. Wait a fucking minute, Barty screams, pointing at James. This cunt here! Barty, stop it, Pandora shouts. Outside, all of you, now. Pandora doesn't seem to think she needs to tell him again. She doesn't wait for any more arguing. She tucks James with her hand never leaving his arms, either to stop him from running off or getting lost in the crowd. James doesn't know. He appreciates it, though, as he feels so unsteady on his feet. He's sure if he didn't have her holding him up, he would be knocked on his ass the moment someone bumped into him. Outside, the air rushes into James's lungs like 100 tiny sharp pinpricks. He feels dizzy, the world spinning as if he's had one too many tequila shots. His hands are tingling, his stomach feels like a heavy pit in his abdomen. James, what happened? Pandora asks, once she's let them far enough from the pub entrance that they can hear each other without shouting. I didn't know! James cries. He knows he's not making much sense, but he doesn't know how to order the chaos in his head right now. Please, you have to believe me. You have to tell him I didn't know. Potter, calm the fuck down, Evan interrupts. Just tell us what happened so we can find Regulus. He takes a deep breath, as deep as he can, non-rapidly, like a struck bobblehead door. I was introducing him to my friends. I thought it was fine. I didn't know he just freaked out when he saw Sirius, and then he said it was me or something. I couldn't stop him from running off. I tried, but he was gone before I could stop him. And Sirius, he said fuck. He never said anything, and neither did Regulus. I had no idea. I mean, how could I know they looked alike, but fucking hell, how the hell was I supposed to know? Barty's eyes narrowed into slits, making him look like a snake ready to strike. What the fuck are you talking about? I didn't know what I did wrong. James practically whirls. I don't know what Regulus was thinking or why he ran away from me. He looked like he hated me and James. He turns around to see Peter running towards them, coming to stop beside James. Who the fuck are you? Evan asks, but Peter doesn't even look at him. He's just looking at James, panting. James Sirius is freaking out. Peter says, "We tried to calm him down, but he just kept rambling about, and now he's at the bar. Mooney's trying to get him to cut off. He doesn't think Sirius should be drinking right now, but..." "Right," Barney suddenly says, jaw clenched. He abruptly pushes past Peter, stalking quickly back towards the pub. "Barty," Evan starts, "what are you?" "I'm going to talk to this serious bloke," Barty says, turning around but not slowing in his walking. "Maybe he can explain what's going on instead of this blubbering shithead over here." "Should we?" Evan begins to ask, but Pandora is already wordlessly following Barty, and Evan trailing her quickly after. After a moment, Peter's hands quickly squeezes his shoulder. "Bronx, mate, are you okay?" James shakes his head, clenching his eyes closed. He feels like he's about to cry. "I don't know. I don't know, Pete. I had no idea. They never told me anything. I didn't mean to hurt anyone." "This isn't your fault," Peter says instantly. "We'll get to the bottom of this, but whatever happens, none of this is your fault. You had no idea. You couldn't have known. And you didn't do any of this to hurt anyone." James presses the balls of his palms into his closed eyes, pushing hard enough that he can see white spots dancing on the back of his eyelids. He feels overwhelmed. He doesn't know what to do first. He wants to cry, scream, chase after Regulus, chase after Sirius. He wants to hug and punch them both. He wants to hug and punch himself. This all feels like a twisted nightmare. Perhaps if he pinches himself, he'll wake up and it will be early morning of New Year's Eve. Maybe he'll wake up and none of this would have happened, and he'd still have hours before he'd have to get ready and introduce Regulus to his friends. "You tried phoning Regulus?" "No," James whispers. "Give it a try. He might answer," Peter says. "Then we can go in and try and sort Sirius out." James almost drops his phone when he fishes it out of his back pocket. He's trembling, hands quivering uncontrollably. It's no surprise when Regulus doesn't answer. It's even less of a surprise when the second attempt is cut off after 2 rings. James isn't surprised, but it doesn't hurt any less. He's tempted to ask Peter to phone Regulus off his phone, hoping perhaps maybe seeing a number he hasn't got saved, prompting him to answer, but he knows Regulus isn't that stupid. He'd never fall for something like that, not when he's this upset. James just wants to make sure he's okay and to also beg at him to explain what's going on. Then he wants to shout at Regulus for being so secretive. That if he hadn't been so private for so long, then this disaster may never have happened. If James had known, both from Regulus and Sirius' denied truthfulness, then he would have never imagined bombarding them both at a pub on New Year's Eve. James didn't mean to upset them both. He just didn't know. A sob is working its way through James's throat when suddenly shouts are suddenly coming out of the pub. Moments later, Remus is dragged by Sirius by the arm, and then Barty, Evan, and Pandora stumbling out after them, profanities and screaming filling the street. "What the?" Peter starts, hurrying his way over. James forces himself to follow, and then his heart sinks when he sees Sirius's bloody face, his red-covered hand cradling his nose. Blood seems to be streaming out with like a fountain, staining his chin and the front of his shirt. "Did you punch him?" Peter asks Regulus's 3 friends. James tenses, because Peter's voice is harsh and cold, eyes wide at the 3 of them, but also glaring at them with a look that could kill. James has seen this before, a while ago, when they were all early teens. Peter is the golden friend of the group, the peacekeeper amongst them. One of them is hurt, and they see a new side of him. James doesn't want to see Peter fighting against Regulus's friends, not tonight. "No, I didn't," Barty snarls, roughly shrugging off Evan's hand on his arms. He's glaring at all of them. "Wish I fucking did, but some girl's elbow got there first." "Are you alright?" James asks. Sirius looks awful. Who gives a flying fuck? Buddy screams. You hurt Regulus. I didn't hurt him. Sirius shouts back, voice quivering, and James doesn't know if it's from his bashed nose or the emotions from the events unveiling. Evan scoffs, shaking his head. Then why did he run off? I don't know, Sirius cries. We haven't seen each other since we were 16. I didn't even know he was here. How the fuck do you know him then? Buddy asks. Sirius lets out a feral growl, dropping his hand from his nose. He's my fucking brother, alright? Everyone seems to freeze. Barty's, Ethan's, and Pandora's eyes all widen. They blink at them all, and James is struck with the realization that even they, who've known Regulus for years, who've been his closest friends, didn't know either. Brother? Pandora echoes. Yes! Sirius snows. And his name is fucking Razalas. Pandora looks at James. Did you know about this? No, he admits, shaking his head. Of course I didn't. He's your fucking best friend, Barty shouts, pointing at Sirius. How the fuck did you not know you were shagging his brother? James opens his mouth to answer, to explain that despite their friendship, Sirius managed to miss out the slightly large part of his life for years. But Sirius beat him to it. I didn't tell him, he admits. You didn't tell your best friends you have a brother, Evan asks suspiciously. What twisted fucking reason was behind that? Sirius shakes his head, casting down his own shoes. He wouldn't understand. The laugh Barty lets out sends a shiver down James's spine. Enlighten us, then, he demands. He looks wild, like an animal that's broken out of the zoo. It's none of your business, Sirius thieves. You heard Regulus, Barty argues again. He's not shouting now. None of them are. Instead, their voices are low, hushed, dripping like cold ice. James thinks it's worse than the shouting because it's giving him a sense that they are now very pissed off. It reminds him of his mum and dad. They're more angry when they're quiet. It's entirely our fucking business. James doesn't know what to do. His brain is telling him to defend Sirius, his best friend, currently being eaten alive by Regulus's friends, accused of things none of them understand. But James's heart is crying out for an explanation. All right, Pandora says, voice soft, tired even. That's enough. This isn't helping, Barty. Calm the fuck down. We're leaving. But no, she snaps. I don't want to hear it from them. This is about Wretch, so we hear it from Wretch and Wretch only. I don't trust him not to tell us the truth. When the three of them turn to leave, James wants to stop them. He wants to back them, to go with them, to let them take him to Regulus. He stops himself. Regulus needs them right now, and they clearly want to see Regulus and Regulus only. James knows they're seeing him as the bad guy here. It's a few minutes after they've all gone that anyone speaks. Remus is leaning against the wall now, smoking his way through a cigarette. He looks as exhausted as James feels. Peter is looking between them all, as if waiting for the penny to drop. Sirius is looking anywhere but James. Your nose okay, mate? Peter asks. Yeah, Sirius nods. He at least sounds less congested now, and the fountain of red seems to have stopped. He looks pretty pitiful, with the blood crusted on his face, but at least he's not actively bleeding anymore. That twat's elbow got me fucking good, but at least it wasn't that Barty kid. I honestly thought he was going to knock my fucking lights out. You would have had him in a fight, Peter smirks. We've seen you scrap. Thanks, mate. Sirius smiles. But, James sighs, and he can't find it in himself to feel bad when they all tense. He's not in the mood to play naive now. He wants answers. Why didn't you tell us? Sirius sighs heavily, shaking his head. You wouldn't understand, Bronx. Then fucking explain it! James shouts, feeling his patience run thin. He's getting whiplash from his own emotions right now, but he can't help it. He's also fucked. You owe us that much. You lied to us for years. Why wouldn't you think? He's like them, James. He's a fucking little spawn. He was exactly like them, like a clone. I didn't tell anyone because he was just as bad as them. That's not fair, James interrupts, shaking his head in disbelief. He's not like them, he's... You don't know him, James, Sirius shouts. Yes, I do. Sirius laughs, running a hand through his hair in clear frustration. He treated you like shit, and now it makes fucking sense. He's the little shit I had to run away from. Remus steps away from the wall, reaching out to Sirius's shoulder to calm him. Parts. No! Sirius screams, shoving off Remus's hand and stepping away at the same time. He looks at all of them, but then his eyes settle on James. I know I lied. I know I kept him from you, but I did that because he's horrible. He was as bad as them. And I ran away from them all. He's not a good person, James. I don't know what he's made you believe he is, but he's not that person. You need to stay away from him. Stay away from Regulus? No, James has already had to do that once when Regulus scared himself at the idea of commitment and abandonment. Sure, it hurt James in the process, but he managed to convince Regulus that life isn't living without the risk, and that the enjoyment of company doesn't come with sometimes being alone. Regulus believed him, and now James knows that the work he did to convince Regulus that not everyone in his life is out to hurt him is probably ruined. Regulus said the fear of abandonment came from his upbringing. Now it's starting to make sense. No, Sirius blinks. What? Why should I? James shrugs. Why should I believe a thing you say about him after you failed to mention him and that he even existed in the first place? You said it yourself. You haven't seen or spoken to him since you were 16. It's been 8 years, Sirius. He's one of them. You don't know that. Fine, Sirius huffs. Fine, you fucking have him then. But while you do, stay the fuck away from me. I don't want to be anywhere near him. And when he does what he does best and fucks you over in the end, don't come to fucking me crying. Sirius's words are like a physical slap. James's eyes widen as his chest feels like it's bottomed out. James doesn't have a chance to respond before Sirius is storming away from them. Remus looks to the two of them. Go with him, Mooney, Peter murmurs. I'll stay with James. Remus looks like he wants to argue, but James knows he won't. Sirius needs someone too, and Remus is the best bet right now to keep him calm and not to do anything rash. Both of you get home safe, okay? Peter nods. We will, mate. Then Remus is leaving too. It's just Peter with them now. Everyone else has left. I need to film Regulus, James says, blinking rapidly. His cheeks are wet, but he's not sure when he starts crying. He gets his phone out again, barely able to see the words on the screen between his tears. I need to speak to him. Nope, Peter quips, and then the phone is being snatched from his hand. James looks up. Peter? No, James, Peter says, holding James's phone behind his back. This sucks for you all. Sirius has Remus making sure he's okay. Regulus has his friends for him. I'm here for you. You are my priority now, and you are not okay. We're going to your flat. We're going to drink some water and get some sleep. And if you can't sleep, we're going to watch some films and smoke some weed. Tomorrow, when you're calm and you've processed what the fuck has just happened, then you can phone Regulus. But not happening, prongs. Peter interrupts, voice softening. You need to take care of yourself tonight too. Please. James lets out a shaky breath. Okay. Good. Let's go home. I'm fucking cold and you look like you need to sit down somewhere that isn't the pavement. Peter stays with him for 3 days. Sirius doesn't come back, but Mooney texts them to let them know he's okay. Regulus doesn't answer James's calls or reply to his texts. The day after New Year's, it stops ringing. Peter assures him it's just because his phone is off or out of charge, but it doesn't bring James any comfort to know that it continues to stay off. The afternoon of New Year's Day, after James has calmed down and processed that all that was said the night before, he texts Sirius that he's sorry. He truly is. He didn't mean to put it all on Sirius, to blame him for everything. James is angry, of course, but after talking it out with Peter, he realizes that he took Regulus aside after only giving Sirius a chance to explain immediately after the fallout happened. It's not all forgiven, not by a long shot. James is still confused, still hurt that Sirius kept such a large part of his life a secret, and he still wonders if there was a connection between Sirius's departure when he was 16 and Regulus's clear abandonment issues. But that's not something for James to get involved in. He doesn't want to lose Sirius any more than he wants to lose Regulus, and he doesn't want to lose either of them for the other. Sirius has been his best friend for too long to not hear him out again. Sirius doesn't reply to the text directly, but Remus messages him soon after saying Sirius read the text, cried, and that Remus is going to make him reply when he's sure Sirius has calmed down enough. James appreciates that, at the least. If Peter wasn't staying over, James knows he would have struggled more than he did over the last few days. Peter was the one to drag him out of bed in the morning, to cook for him, and make him hot chocolate. It's been Peter who's been forcing James to sit on the sofa with him instead of wallowing in bed. Who's put movies on and TV shows on when James doesn't feel like talking to keep the silence of the flat at bay. But he also listened whenever James has felt like talking too. He's listened to James crying, his angry outbursts, his irrational accusations at both Black brothers. He's not along even when James is sure the other boy didn't agree with the stuff James was saying, because he probably knew it was something James needed to get off his chest. Really, James can't thank Peter enough for being there. Peter has to go home by Thursday morning, though. He's managed to get off the last few shifts at his mother's cafe and get out of babysitting the kids, but Thursday morning his mum phones him begging him to come and help, and James feels too bad to say he needs him to say. Peter seems reluctant, but promises James that if he needs anything, he'll come straight back over. James ushers him out quickly, feeling guilty when he realizes the strain he's put on the Pettigrew family under just so Peter could keep him company. Without Peter, the flat quickly becomes too quiet, too big. It feels ridiculously empty without Peter there to fill Sirius's shadow, which is ridiculous because James has spent plenty of time in the flat alone. It just feels worse now, knowing Sirius is avoiding the place instead of just working at the studio or sleeping around Remus. By lunchtime, James is close to climbing the walls. He's tried to distract himself with a shower, but ended up thinking too hard and spent the last 50 minutes of it curled in a ball with the spray lashing down over him and crying into his knees. He feels pathetic, exhausted, and wrung out. He's itching to do something, but at the same time, every task feels exhausting. Even the thought of doing anything zapping his energy. In the end, he collapses on the sofa, snatching his phone off the coffee table. Peter tried to keep him off it as much as possible over the last few days, saying it was only driving James more mad. He's only heard from Remus since New Year's, and realization was eating him alive, so Peter kept him off of it. He looks at Regulus' number. Lack of response makes his heart speed up. Is Regulus doing okay? Has anyone managed to get a hold of him? Has anyone seen him? He doubts Barty, Evan, and Pandora haven't been round. They're probably looking after him. James knows this. He just wishes he could be told, wishes he could hear Regulus' voice. Remus has promised that James is okay too, that he's just focusing on processing the fact that his brother is in London, also dating or more likely was dating his best friend. James understands it's a lot for Sirius to take in, and he wants to be there to support him too. James just doesn't know if he'd been good company for Sirius right now. Swiping away, James pulls his mum's number and presses call. He hasn't spoken to her since before New Year's. Peter replied to her New Year's text at midnight for James, and James was sitting on the sofa, having an internal meltdown at the time. Peter didn't want to worry her, so he replied on James' behalf. She has no idea any of this has happened, and James feels guilty for phoning her. She probably been working. She doesn't need to deal with his problems as well when so many people rely on her 12 hours of the day. James doesn't get a chance to hang up because his mother's voice comes through after 3 rings. Darling, she greets. How are you, my love? I'm I'm okay, James says, but the words are weak despite his effort for them to come out solid. What happened? His mother asks. James can hear the concern in her voice, and it makes his chest clench. Talk to me, sweetheart, she says. James tells her everything. It comes out a stammering, stuttering, blubbering mess. The events spill from James's mouth like choked word vomit. He tells her about introducing Reckless to his friends, about him freaking out and running off, about Sirius admitting they're long-lost brothers. He tells her about his fight with Sirius, about Peter staying over and Sirius avoiding their flat like the plague now. He's crying by the end of it, sobbing harshly. His mother stays silent throughout the confession, but James knows she's listening on the other end. Well, his mother sighs after he's finished explaining and calmed down enough that he's not openly sobbing down the phone at her. That's. I guess that's one way to spend New Year's. James chuckles wetly. He rubs his eyes. They're sore and feel puffy. He's more tired now, limbs feeling like lead. It's such a mess, Mum. That sounds it. Oh, James, she whispered sadly. I'm so sorry, my darling. Have you seen him? James asks hesitantly. He knows his mum knows exactly who he is. Has he been in? Does he seem okay? Because he's not replying to my text, and when I try to call, it seems like his phone is off, and I just need to know if he's all right, Mama. I'm so worried about him. He hasn't been in, baby. His mother replies. He's been off all week. James flops into the sofa. What? His mother sighs sadly down the phone. He phoned in sick Monday morning, said he was going to be off all week. James feels like his breath got trapped in his throat. But then, I'm sure it's okay, darling, his mother soothes. He probably needs some time off. I imagine it's a lot to deal with, seeing his older brother after so long. I know, James whispers, voice thick. He doesn't know this. But he also knows his mother was the only person who could have told him Reckless was okay. Reckless phoning into work is a pretty clear sign that he's not. Love, it's going to be okay, his mother says. I don't think it is, Mama. James chokes, tears spilling over. He takes a shuddering breath, shaking his head. I don't know how this happened. I don't know why Sirius lied for so long. He didn't lie, my love, Effie interrupts gently. He never denied having a brother, remember that. He just didn't tell us. But I trust he had his reasons. He hates him, Mum, James argues. He says Reg is just like them. I don't understand. How can he think that? Sirius knew Regulus long before you did, darling. Remember how Sirius was back when he first came to us? James does. Of course he does. He doesn't think he could ever forget the time when Sirius was a mess, face bruised and sobbing into James's chest. James has never seen his friend so hysterical, so desperate for something safe to stay. James always knew Sirius didn't like it at home, but his friend never gave the impression it was that bad. James thought his parents were strict, not abusive. James remembers how angry he was. He was ready to go to the Black House Wells to give Sirius' parents a piece of his mind. His mum and dad were ready to go to the police, but Sirius begged them not to. He just kept saying all that he wanted was to stay somewhere safe. It took a while for Sirius to explain everything to them. When he finally did, it broke James into pieces. His parents were horrible to him, his mother goes on, and I don't know what Regulus was like, but growing up in a home like that, you can't blame Sirius for hating them all. James closes his eyes tightly. Regulus isn't like them, he whispers. He feels so sure about it, thinking about Sirius all those years ago. He can't help but wonder what really happened. Why did Sirius leave Regulus behind? Why didn't Sirius tell them about Regulus? His mother sighs sadly through the phone. I'm not saying he is, or ever was for that matter. I just need you to remember what Sirius was like when he came to us. What he told us they did to him for so long. Only Sirius and Regulus really know what happened, and there must have been a reason Sirius to leave in the middle of the night, for him not to tell anyone. Regulus might not be at fault, but you need to hear Sirius out too, when you're both ready. What if he makes me choose? James asks, quietly. Don't worry about that for now, Effie replies, and James can't see her, but he knows she's shaking her head. All you need to worry about now is making sure you are okay, and then Sirius and Regulus individually. You have to figure the rest out later. I don't know what to do, Mama, James confesses. I don't know how to fix this. It's not entirely on you to fix this, she says. This isn't on you, James. You need to understand that. What happened is hard, but it's not your fault. You didn't cause this. If anything, you're the least guilty out of everyone. But I said, you fought with Sirius out of anger and confusion. You'd both gone through something overwhelming. You'd both been drinking. You both said things you didn't mean. It happens. That's what most arguments consist of, and that's why people apologize afterwards. Sirius is staying with Remus because he probably doesn't want to say anything else he'll regret, not because he's avoiding you. Whatever happens in the end, this is not your fault. Do you understand? Yes, he says, but he doesn't believe it. His mother hums. I don't believe you, but I'm sure it'll sink in soon. Regulus and Sirius are just trying to process what happened. They both love you. They both don't want to lose you. And they probably both know that means that by having you, they will have to get used to being in each other's lives again. That's a lot for the both of them to accept, and you need to give them time. However, in the meantime, that doesn't mean that you get to allow yourself to work yourself short. Take care of yourself too, James. They need you, but you also need someone to think of you too. I know. I hope you do, she whispers. You always put others first, my love. It's a great asset. But sometimes I worry. I know, Mama. This is not your fault, Effie says again. Don't blame yourself. And don't cut yourself in half for the both of them, or anyone for that matter. Don't let them turn you into the villain. You did nothing wrong. You've been a fantastic friend to Sirius. You've been a wonderful man to Regulus. Don't let them make you forget that. Okay. His mother sighs. James hates that he's making her worry. It makes his skin itch and his heart race. She has more important things to worry about than him. I'll let you know when Regulus comes back to work, she says. James can't hold back the soft gasps. You will? Of course. You are going to let it eat you alive wondering. She chuckles softly. As soon as I see him, I'll let you know. James feels like he could start crying again. Thank you. Always, my boy, she says. Now let's have something that will cheer you up. Guess who attempted to make homemade pasta last night? Please don't say it was Dad. The state of my kitchen says differently. His mother laughs. You will never believe how much flour was on the floor. The next day, James is flicking through TV channels to find something decent to watch when he hears the front door open. He looks over his shoulder, by this point expecting it to be Warren's Hill again. It's not. Sirius meets his eye when James turns and looks at him. He looks as exhausted as James feels, bags under his eyes like something has wiped charcoal there. He's holding himself like he's been carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. Hi, James whispers. Sirius nods, letting the door fall shut behind him. Hi. Suddenly, James is nervous. He doesn't move. His whole body feels frozen stiff. Sirius is staring at him, and James can't help but stare back. He's never felt this kind of trepidation with Sirius before. Is Sirius here to stay? Is he here to fight? To tell James to stay away from him? Is he going to get his things and go back to Mooney's again? They've never fought like this. James doesn't think there has ever been a time they've gone days not speaking. He feels like he's lost a limb, and knows someone has dumped it on his doorstep for him to mourn but to not get back. James sucks in a deep breath, seemed to come back to himself with a jolt. He sits straighter on the sofa. Oh, are you staying? He asks shakingly. Or are you just picking up some stuff? I'm staying, Sirius interrupts, nodding. He shifts from foot to foot, blinking rapidly around the room. I need to. We should. Okay, James nods. They fall silent again. It feels so wrong. They're not like this. They're James and Sirius, Prongs and Padfoot. They're the two who started it all, who met when they were 11 and went on to conquer the world. James wants to hug him, tackle Sirius to the floor, and wrap himself around him and never let go. He wants Sirius to mess his hair up, to straighten his glasses, and to hug him back so tight. Do you want coffee? James asks. His mouth is dry, tongue sticking to the roof of it. Or hot chocolate? Sirius nods. Hot chocolate. Thanks. Okay. James gets up, needing something to do. They don't speak when James is pottering around the kitchen making their drinks. At some point, Sirius moves to the sofa. James doesn't hear him, but when he turns back, he sees Sirius slumped down in the corner. James takes the opposite. He puts Sirius's hot chocolate down, keeping his own in his hands. It's burning his palm, but he needs the solid mug to ground him. Plus, he feels so cold the last few days. The uncomfortable heat is refreshing. Thanks, Sirius says quietly, despite making no move to pick it up. So, James starts, but he realizes he doesn't know where to start. Where does he start? How do they even begin? How does he fix this? How can he make Sirius feel better when all of his secrets have been thrown out into the world? James caused this, so he needs to fix this. But he doesn't know how. Doesn't even know where to start. I'm sorry, James whispers suddenly, the words fall from his mouth, so small and pathetic. Sirius frowns at him. For what? Everything? For what I said last night? James shrugs, looking down at his drink. For hurting you? For making you try and explain what it had just happened? No, James, no. Sirius shakes his head quickly. You have every right to be mad. You all do. I should have told you all years ago. Why didn't you? I meant it when I said he grew up like them, Sirius croaks. He Growing up, he wasn't. He was soft, kind. He was my little brother, you know? It was us against them, against the world. I was always protecting him against them, defending him. I had to. He was my little brother. He was too good to live in that house. And he started to act like them, started to do as they told him, turned against me. James frowns. What do you mean? He became their little clone. Sirius whispers. Shaking his head, he looks at James, and suddenly he's transported back to that night that they found out Sirius's parents have been hurting him for years. Suddenly he was doing what they said, doing what they told. He believed them, soaked it up like as they said, doing as they told. He believed them, soaked it all up like a fucking sponge. He shouted at me when I got into trouble, calling me stupid and rash, saying I was winding them up and it was all my fault. Did you wind them up? Of course I did. Sirius laughs wildly. You know I did. I was going to let them know they could break me, no matter how hard they tried. I was going to let them think they could make me do what they wanted, to become like them. What can I do, Sirius? James asks. What can I do to help you? How can I make this better? I don't know, Sirius admits. I haven't thought about them for years, but seeing them on Saturday, it's like the back. I feel like if I close my eyes for too long, they'll find me. They'll never be able to do that, James argues. We'll never let that happen, Pat. He's here, Bronx. Sirius shudders, curling into himself. If he's here, what if they are too? They're not here with him, James said. He's here on his own. How do you know he's telling the truth? Sirius laughs coldly, bitter. He forgot to mention he changed his name. I thought that he's got an older brother with the exact same name as your best friend. Clearly, keeping secrets is a family trait then, James interrupts harshly. I'm not defending anyone, but you both kept things secret, Sirius. He's not my family, Sirius snarls. James feels deflated. Parts. No! The person I left behind wasn't my little brother anymore, Sirius snaps. He was a clone of them. He was too far for me to get back by that point. I knew he'd be safe there. He was their favorite. They never hurt him. They hadn't for years because they'd molded him into exactly what they wanted. He's not like that anymore, James pleads for Sirius to believe him. The person Sirius is describing is not the Regulus James knows, though. He's starting to wonder, how well does he really know Regulus? I don't trust him, James, Sirius says. You don't know what he could be. Pats, they're not here with him. James shakes his head, interrupting softly but firm. He's here alone. He's changed his name. He's not working in law or business. Would your parents have allowed him to come here with a new identity and study medicine if it's meant to be their clone? I don't know. Sirius clenches, his eyes closed. It doesn't make sense, but I'm not prepared to find out. He's too close to them. Him being here is a way for them to get me back again. Parts, please don't make me. Sirius backs and when his eyes open to reveal the swimming tears, James's heart cracks. Please, James, I can't. I can't. Okay. James nods. Okay. James can't make him. He can't even fathom it. Sirius looks so small right now, so beaten down and weary. James can't push him. He can't bring himself to even suggest the idea of the Black Brothers reconnecting yet. Seeing Regulus has brought up a lot of memories Sirius had worked so hard to push down, to get over and to deal with. James is still mad, but he doesn't think he's mad at Sirius anymore. He's mad at Warburger and Ryan Black. He's mad at the two people who are meant to protect Sirius. They're his parents. They chose to bring him into this world, and they only did that to create a puppet. They broke Sirius once, and James put the pieces back together again. He won't allow them to break Sirius again. You're my brother, Sirius whispers. You know that, right? Yeah, James smiles. You're my brother too. Good. That's never going to change, Pat, James promises. You'll always be my brother. Finally, Sirius cracks a smile. I know. You want another hot chocolate? Yeah, I'll make them though. You also shit. Hey! Sirius chuckles, echoes through the flat, and James relaxes against the sofa. It's all going to be okay, he tells himself. It has to be. Regulus. Stepping back into the hospital after having his first ever week of sick is harder than Regulus anticipated. Sure, the reasons why he flunked all of his shifts is enough to make him want to run back home again, but he has to keep reminding himself that no one in the hospital knows. Baldy assured him that Dorcas and Mary completely missed the showdown between them all, with James and Sirius and Pandora suddenly asking the girls when they saw them the night before if they'd spoken to Peter, and they all apparently haven't. Therefore, the neurology ward is a safe space. Apart from a large single factor, but according to Regulus's rota, he's not on shift with that person until his fourth shift out of 5. He's safe for 3 days. When he walks out of the locker, dressed in familiar green scrubs and white long sleeves underneath, he spots Dorcas at the main desk. She looks up from her phone when he sits down. The face breaks out into the familiar, beaming grin. Little Star! She cries. Welcome back! We missed you last week. Morning, he replies, sitting down in the chair beside her. I see the place is still standing. Dorcas chuckles, shaking her head. Unfortunately, seems the hospital doesn't collapse as soon as our best doctor goes sick. How are you doing? Never seen you take sick leave before. Had a little bit worried. I'm fine, he nods. Better now, sorry for leaving you all in this shit. Don't worry about it, she smiles. If it wasn't you, someone else would have phoned in sick. I missed you on New Year's. You even stayed till midnight? Regulus swallows around a dry lump in his throat, idly flicking through the closest file on the desk to avoid looking at Dorcas. No, I was home by then. Didn't feel well. That sucks, she nods. Y'all good now, though, yeah? Because we've got a busy day today. They may have staffed 2 doctors, but we've got no nurses and only 2 HCAs with us. Regulus sighs. Home sweet home. The shift goes surprisingly fast. Regulus gets back into the swing of it as if he never left, which he supposed is that great of a feat as he only had a week off, but the week off still left him exhausted and numb. People greet him back with the happiness that he's well again, and over his sickness. A few people ask what's wrong, and he tells them the flu. It must be believable or lie as they all look him up and down and nod sadly. He didn't realize this. He looks crap enough to actually be considering getting over being physically sick. Friday night comes round faster than he anticipated. Anxiety burns through his veins like acid. He wants to phone in again, to not go and hide at home. Euphemia will know. She must do. James is her son, and now he knows that Sirius is his surrogate son. And no way neither of them have told her. Regulus doesn't know what her reaction is going to be. She's been tame about the whole I'm dating your son despite you being my boss fiasco. She hasn't got involved at all, barely registering it at work and never bringing it up to Regulus. She hasn't made him feel awkward in any way, hasn't treated him any less kind or different. She's treated it as if it hasn't happened all this time. Even when Regulus ran out on James and put him through days of turmoil, because Regulus was scared of letting people in. This is different though. This time it involves Sirius. Euphemia has 2 people she's defending for. She has 2 people that she is standing with against Regulus. Regulus doesn't want to see Euphemia. He doesn't want to see her or her sons. Sirius abandoned him. James allowed it and then trailed Regulus along, always knowing that Sirius was hiding behind a closed door watching his little brother get roped in. Euphemia took Sirius away from him, and then had the audacity to treat Regulus like one of her own when he came to London, despite knowing the whole time that she played a large part in the shit that went down when Sirius ran away. There's no way they didn't know. As much as Regulus hates to admit it, him and Sirius have always looked like carbon copies of each other. They shared the same famous black family traits. There's no way that James and Euphemia didn't take one look at him and put the dots together. They must have known he was Sirius's little brother. Neither of them said anything. Regulus hates them for it. The day of the night shift, they're sharing the ward comes with a daunting, ominous feeling sitting heavy in Regulus's stomach. He slept badly during the day, so he's got a lack of sleep piled onto the already bone-deep exhaustion weighing him down. He doesn't know what he was expecting to feel when he first saw Euphemia. Anger, fear, sadness, betrayal. Regulus half expected to feel all of them. He's surprised to realize when he sits down beside her that evening of their shared night shift to feel absolutely nothing. She looks the same. Regulus doesn't know why he expected her to look different. Did he want her to look ragged, stressed, guilty, as crappy as Regulus feels? Exhausted with bags under her eyes, clear signs of disturbed sleep from the grief that's happened. Did he want her to look at him with resentment, anger? Did he want her to hate him so that he felt like he had an even playing field to hate her too? She looks none of that. She looks the same as she always does. She smiles when he sits down, the same friendly, motherly smile that normally makes his stomach swoop with gratitude and a dash of smugness, as she never looks at anyone else like that. "Good evening, Regulus," she says. "Glad to see you're well and back at work." Regulus doesn't know what to say to that. He stares, jaw slack with surprise. The day doctor sits down then, beginning the handover so Regulus' time slot is to reply is gone. He doesn't hear a single word the doctor says because his mind is too busy being overcome with hot, fiery anger. He can feel himself glaring at the side of Euphemia's face, but he can't stop. She's not looking at him, instead listening to the doctor, with her shoulders relaxed as if the world around her isn't currently burning into oblivion. Regulus realizes the day doctor has finished the handover when the male stands up, and he's laughing at something with Euphemia that Regulus clearly missed. Suddenly the doctor is waving at them both, walking away from the desk and leaving them alone. "So," she starts, and her voice sounds as sickly kind and professional as always. She sounds as if nothing has happened, as if nothing has changed. "Do you—" "I'll start with the rounds." Regulus interrupts, standing abruptly. He swipes the handover sheet the doctor left, half crumpling it in his hands in the blind haste to get away as soon as he can. He doesn't even look at Euphemia as he walks away from the desk. He can't bring himself to, because he's scared if he does, he'll blow up at her in front of the whole ward. He scans the sheet quickly, deciding the first point is going to be completing another neuro assessment on a stroke patient. They'll do another one soon anyway, and the patient is in a side room, which will give Regulus a few minutes of peace to find his footing again. This is his ward too, he reminds himself. Euphemia may be the boss, but that's all she has to be. His boss. And his boss or not, he's a damn good fucking doctor. Nothing's going to change that. Not even Euphemia's presence is going to let him look like a fool in front of the staff or patients. Reckless decides that the best thing to do is avoid her. That way she can blindside him by avoiding the elephant in the room or taking the opportunity to defend herself, James, or Sirius. It will also help with the temptation to throw steaming hot coffee in her face. The plan works for approximately 6 out of the 12 hours. By a stroke of luck, Regulus gets called down to emergency a little past midnight for a patient coming in to recess. Euphemia offers to go, but Regulus practically bites her head off when he tells her he's going, once again not giving her a chance to argue and making straight for the elevator. By the time he comes back up, his trousers are covered in blood from a trauma job he assisted on that came through when he was done with the exam. He makes a direct line to the locker room to get some fresh scrubs. His heart practically stops in his chest when he sees Euphemia sitting on the sofa. She looks up from her book when the door closes behind him. She doesn't even try to hide the surprise on her face at the sight of him at the door. The only times they've spoken this whole shift has been brief and work related. Regulus isn't going to be surprised to find out that people have noticed the tension between the usual pair of doctors. Regulus, she starts, but Regulus doesn't want to hear it. I'm just arranging my scrubs, he says, tearing his eyes away from her and heading into the store cupboard. With his back to her, he feels defensive. He can't help the square of his shoulders, the painful tension in his spine. He's so angry at her, so angry at her son. They ruined his life, left him to rot in Grimmauld Place like unwanted scraps, and years later they have tried to break down the defense he built up to survive living alone with his parents. We need to talk about this, she says, and as soon as the words reach his ears, a fire ignites in his stomach, like someone brought a flame to a fuse. There's nothing to talk about, he replies. His voice sounds dead to his own ears. The anger inside of him does nothing to bring the energy back to him. He's so tired. This is a workplace, a hospital. We are doctors. We're staying professional, regulars. We're hardly in the place for discussing our personal lives, which, by the way, I'm not doing with you. Regulus plows on. I have nothing to say. I do, and I recommend that whatever you want to say to me, you keep to your fucking self. Euphemia clears his throat behind him. Regulus can imagine she's itching to berate him for swearing at him. It's highly rude and unprofessional. He dares her to say something. It's going to start affecting our patients' care if we can't work together, the older woman replies, and Regulus scoffs. I don't know about you, but I can assure you my professionalism is going to be affected by being forced to work with you, he replies, unless it's you that is unable to work with me due to the consequences of yours and your family actions. That's not fair, Regulus. Regulus whips around to stare at her. Not fair? Him? Not fair? How is Regulus the one making this not fair? He's the one who's been screwed over, lied to, left to be being beaten and bruised and forgotten. How dare you? He snarls slowly. She stares at him in shock, eyes wide and sad, and Regulus just doesn't fucking care anymore. How dare you to stand there and try to act like you didn't play a part in this? You took him in. You gave him a home, all the fucking while knowing he left me there with them. You didn't bat a fucking eyelid at the prospect that you left his little brother with the monsters who fucking drove him to the point of running away in the middle of the night. In his rant, she looks up, took a step back, the hostility in his tone making her eyes water. Regulus. No, I don't want to hear it, Potter, he shouts. He doesn't care if people hear now, if his voice carries far enough that he can be heard outside of the mess room. He's too angry now, too hurt, too tired to keep playing happy colleagues. If she wants to talk about it, then Regulus will happily rip her a new one for it. For years, you and your fucking family continued to protect him and left me to rot in that fucking house. And when I came here, you pretended like you didn't fucking know. You acted like nothing had happened, like you didn't steal him away from me. You pretend you gave a shit, and to what? To make up for the guilt of knowing you'd left a 15-year-old with them? His face is burning. His eyes are watering against his will, and he chokes down his sob. He feels torn open, split and vulnerable. Euphemia is watching him, looking heartbroken and tearful. Reckless shakes his head. Sirius taught you. I know he taught you what they were like. Did seeing me here make you feel guilty? Is that why you suddenly cared so much? Then James waltzes in and the lie fucking continues. You let him lie to me this whole time. You watched us get closer all this time. You all knew what you'd done. That's not true, Regulus, she whispers, shaking her head. Oh, please. Riley snaps. He wants to scream, throw something at the wall, his entire body busying with, but all at the same time, he feels like he's ran out of length of London with no brakes. His legs are jelly. His breathing is fast, but he can't get it to slow down. Get off your fucking high horse, Euphemia. She flinches at the shout. She looks horrified, and Regulus decides that's good. She kept asking, so he delivered, as if she had the decency to pretend to act like she didn't understand why his hostility towards her was coming from. For a moment, the room is silent. All that can be heard is Regulus's heavy breathing. Suddenly, she lets out a sigh. Regulus, we didn't know. Don't bullshit me, he laughs. Don't pretend you missed it. Naive stupidity doesn't suit you, Dr. Potter. He never told us, Regulus, she says, shaking her head. Her voice is soft and cautious, as if she's speaking to a wild animal. Sirius never said he had a brother. It feels worse than when he saw Sirius that night. It feels worse than seeing James and realizing who he was. It feels worse than anything. Sirius kept him a secret? His voice cracks painfully. What? None of us knew, Euphemia says, tears rolling down her cheeks. She looks nothing like the strong, determined doctor he's worked with for so long. She looks like a heartbroken mother now. She looks distraught and shaken. We knew what your parents were like, but Sirius never mentioned having a younger brother at home. Regulus can't believe it. He can't believe her words. There's no way Sirius never said anything. They were best friends growing up, and he must have mentioned Regulus to his friends. It feels like a final knock against the wall around him. He feels his resolve crumbling down like the defense around him has merely been a stack of cards. There's a pain in his chest, a tightness that's pressing and pressing and pressing. Is this what it feels like when your heart finally breaks? You didn't know, he whispers brokenly. No, she replies, shaking her head sternly. Regulus, I promise we weren't told a thing. I admit that when I first met you, I had my suspicions. Regulus's eyes widen. What? I mean, you both look so similar, and I saw Sirius so much in you when you first came here. She smiles sadly, as if she's remembering, or maybe it's because Regulus looks exactly like that boy now. Lost, alone, scared. You were so much like him when he ran to us back when he was 16. It was so hard to miss the similarities. So, he takes a shaky breath. It rattles down into him, into his lungs. You did know. No, she says quickly, shaking her head vehemently. I suspected there was a relation, and I wanted to say something as soon as I knew I had your trust, but then, without saying much, you made obvious that you weren't living with them anymore. It meant you were safe, living with friends, and studying for a career. I didn't want you to lose this place, the people, and the life you'd finally created for yourself here in London. I didn't want to take that away from you, nor saying anything meant you'd stay, and I could keep an eye on you, make sure that you were okay. Why would you do that? She smiles sadly at him. Because you're right. When I started to realize you and Sirius were related, I felt guilty. I didn't know you were brothers, but seeing Sirius in you, guessing what you'd been through with by the way you acted, I felt like I owed you. Has this feeling you'd been lost in the cracks and hurt in the process. Regulus feels like the ground has been ripped from underneath his feet. He collapses heavily onto the hard wooden bench. He can't and feel his body shaking, trembling and rattling like a broken window caught in a gust of wind. I didn't know what to do when you start seeing James. Euphemia starts sighing. I didn't know if it was my place to get involved. I knew it would come out eventually. It was only so long that you and James could go on seeing each other before Sirius walked into the same room. Truthfully, I'm surprised it took this long. Brady snorts, surprising himself. Thinking back on it, he's surprised it managed to go on this long. A trick of cruel fate. That not once did Regulus manage to be at the flat at the same time as Sirius. He was in Sirius's home, and yet he didn't have an ID. Euphemia doesn't move closer to him. He appreciates it. He doesn't think he can stand any more touching him at the moment. I'm not going to pretend I understand how you feel, Regulus. I'm not even going to try and pretend to you that I can sympathize or give you any kind of solid advice. The only thing I want you to know is that James didn't know. Everything between you and James was true and was completely separate from Sirius. I don't know if I can believe that, he murmurs. He looks up from the spot on the floor he's been staring at and meets her eyes across the room. How am I meant to believe that he really didn't tell any of you? Because he didn't, she repeats, voice soft. I truly don't know why. I trust there is his reasons, and while they may not seem valid to us, they were to him. He deserves time to explain himself. What about me? Radius asks harshly. Am I supposed to let this go, forgive him for leaving me with them? Euphemia takes a sharp, short breath, shakes her head, suddenly looking as tired as Regulus feels. I won't tell you to do anything, she admits. You're all adults. It's not up to me to dictate anything for you boys. I just think you all deserve a chance to say your sides of the story. You know, James feels so much in the dark at that moment. He's caught in the middle of something he didn't even know existed. James. Oh, James. Reckless feels the sharp pain again, the knife in the middle of this circle of chaos, the person who's connected everyone. Reckless looks back down at his shoes when he feels the tears stinging his eyes again. I trusted him, Reckless whispers. He doesn't deserve to lose your trust. Reckless scoffs, angrily wiping his eyes. You're his mother. You have to say that. I do, but I also believe it as an adult looking into the situation. Whatever happened between you and Sirius, please try to remember that James wasn't involved. I'm not lying when I tell you none of us had any idea. Regulus doesn't know what hurt more. The idea that they all knew and lied to him, or the fact that Sirius kept him a secret. When Sirius left that night, he truly did leave Regulus behind. Didn't even try to save him. Didn't even try to help. He left without a word because he didn't want Regulus to go with him. Not because he felt leaving in the dark was the best time to go. Sirius truly did leave him behind. I want you to know, Euphemia says, that if we'd known Sirius had a sibling in that house when he came to us, we would have done everything in our power to get you to. He looks up at her, feeling so small. You deserved to have somewhere safe too, Regulus, she adds. You were both children. Regulus doesn't know what to say to that. He doesn't trust himself to speak, so he doesn't even try. Last week, he's felt like his world has been flipped on his head, but as Euphemia I told him as officially turned it inside and out. Suddenly, the door bursts open. Regulus ducks his head, knowing his eyes are still bloodshot from crying. Sorry to interrupt, they say. Regulus clinches at how awkward this mood looks. Don't worry, Anna. Euphemia replies. Everything okay? We've got potential ABD coming into emergency, they explain. They've called down from a neuro doctor. ETA is about 5 minutes out. Thank you, I'll be down in a minute, Euphemia says, and a moment later, the door clicks shut. Regulus continues to look at the floor. He's still got blood on his trousers, the red against the green making it look black. Silence seems to consume him, wrapping around him like a heavy, uncomfortable blanket. He thought he felt exhausted before, but now he just feels numb. A gentle hand comes down onto his shoulder. He flinches, but neither does he pull away. A warm finger rubs against the knot of his rollerblade. For what it's worth, Euphemia says, I'm proud of you for getting away from them. Even if it took you a bit longer, I'm happy you made it out of that house. I'm glad you're safe, even if you had to do it all on your own. Reckless sucks in a shaky breath. He can't look up. He can't do anything. He can't, feels like he's wilting at the seams. And the only thing keeping him from completely disappearing is the hand on his shoulder, grounding him. The hand pulls away. A moment later, footsteps retreat to the door. Reckless jolts up, heart hammering. How is he? Euphemia stops, stirring enough to look at him. James? Regulus nods stiffly. He's doing as well as he can, she sighs. He's beating himself up, taking the blame for it all, despite me telling him it's not his fault at all. He thinks he's lost you both, and he's scared that if he hasn't lost you both, the two of you are going to make him choose. Regulus nods. Right. Don't do that. He jolts at the sudden sharpness in Euphemia's tone. What? Don't make him choose. I know he's my son, and I know it makes me biased, but my boy has the biggest heart in the world. Making him choose, blaming him, making him feel at fault, it will ruin him. He just wants to love you both. He thought he could do it before he found out that there was history between the two of you. I don't blame him, Ryder says. You're not as good a liar as you believe, my darling, she smiles at him. I can see on your face that you're angry at them both, as you were angry with me. That I didn't know that. I know, she says calmly. Remember that James didn't either. He had no idea, and even if he did, he would have never let it get to the point it did. My son would have never gone behind your back to hurt you, Regulus. I can't let you believe that. Whatever happens, whatever you decide to do, whether you stay with him or not, I can't let you hurt him for reasons that aren't his own fault. Regulus has been waiting for this. Has been waiting for Euphemia to switch from his boss to James's mother. He's the most professional person he knows, but he's been waiting for showdown of protection towards her own. You're my colleague. You're one of my best doctors, and more than that, you are a dear friend of mine. Nothing will change between us at work. But before all of that, James is my son, she explains, and the finality of her words makes Regulus's heart ache. He's not scared, though he knows he should be. Euphemia is intimidating, and if he wasn't so envious, maybe he would be. Is this what it's meant to be like when you have a parent to defend you? I don't allow people to hurt my son, especially when it's not my fault. I understand. Good, she smiles, rolling her shoulders. Now, that's enough of me getting involved. Bradley can't help but smile at that. I'm going to go to emergency to deal with this ABD. You change your scrubs and take a break. Go out of smoke or get your head down for a bit. I can handle this stuff while you take a break. I don't need. Regulus, you're my best guy and I don't want to lie to you, love. You look like a wreck. She laughs gently. Take a break. Wash your face. Come back to the ward when you're ready. Regulus slumps but eventually nods. Okay. They don't talk about it. Regulus is grateful for that, because hearing it once hurt enough. After his break, he puts it aside. He does what he does best and throws himself into work to distract himself from collapsing life around him. When he finishes his run of the shifts, he collapses in his sofa. The morning he gets home, he doesn't sleep. His mind is too full for that. So instead, he lay boneless, exhausted on the sofa with Sylvester curled up into his stomach like a cushion. He doesn't think he can bring himself to. He doesn't want to think about it all. He doesn't want to feel the repercussions of the choices the last years have cost him. He turns his phone off, ignoring the calls and texts from everyone asking how working with Euphemia went. He'll tell him later, after he's managed to sort through them himself. It's late Saturday evening. He's coming up to the 36-hour mark awake. His eyes are sore and burning, his legs ache and are cramped from laying in the fetal position on the sofa for so long. But he can't bring himself to move from it. Then there's a bang on his door. The rap against the wood echoes through the flat, causing Reckless to tense and Sylvester to jump, the cat scurrying off the sofa. The bang continues. Reckless doesn't want to answer it. She doesn't think he has the energy in him to get up and get to the door. Oi, Black, open up, you twat! They shout, and Reckless lifts its head in confusion. I know you're in there. I saw your car parked outside. So get the door open before I break in again. A small groan escapes him as he climbs up, limbs locked and stiff. He stumbles, but eventually righting himself and opening the front door. Body grins at him. He's in his pajamas, bags down by his feet. What are you doing? Reckless asks. You look awful, mate. It's a good thing I came over. Body laughs, looking at him up and down. You look worse than the heavy night at the drink, leaky. Marty, Reckless snaps sharply. What are you doing here? Well, if you'd answered your phone, I would have been able to ask like a normal person, but since you're determined to ignore everyone in your life, I just had to show up. And the bag? I need to stay for a few days, Body shrugs. You're gonna let me in? Regulus moves aside and Body grabs the bags and dumps them in the living room. You've been kicked out? Regulus asks, locking the front door behind them. Fortunately, no. Body sighs, dropping down heavily onto the sofa. Flab of mine flooded, and therefore mine flooded. Whole place is wrecked. Everyone's been told we all have to find somewhere else to stay until they get the place fixed up again. Can I stay here? Well, Asher gave me so much of a choice, Race grumbles. Sorry, next time I'll make sure to look into my crystal ball and give you a few days' notice before my flat is suddenly underwater, so you have the time to freshen the place up and place a chocolate under my pillow. Reckless flashes a flat look. You can't stay with Pandora or Evan. Maybe, I want to stay with you, Body argues, shrugging. Reckless can't read enough between the lines, but he doesn't say anything. Ethan and Pandora welcome Barty with open arms, but he knows Barty has come here as an excuse to also keep an eye on him. As annoying as it is, Reckless doesn't have the energy to pretend he's fine on his own. I'm not sharing a bed with you, he says. Barty grins. Don't lie, I know you're a cuddler. You can have the sofa. Won't be leaving you a good review for hospitality for that. Good, Reckless sighs. Coffee? Always. Fuck, that's a long one. My planned schedule is to upload Carpe Diem on Saturdays and birds fly in different directions on Sundays. But yesterday, for some reason, my computer decided that it was not fine with recording shit, kept crashing, lost about an hour of footage, which fuck this program. Um, and well, there was a trouble with uploading it, so I had to switch it around. But next week, expect this one on Saturday. Thank you for listening. Bye.